Aderonke was a beautiful 30-year-old woman who was the light of her family. Her parents had so much pride in her, and she was the first child out of 7 children born by her parents. They were very poor, and they could only afford the basic things in life. So the parents made sure that the children were content, no matter how little they could provide for them. Aderonke struggled to finish her university education, and she moved to the city of Lagos, where she was lucky to get a very good paying job at the age of 22. She was so hardworking because she was determined to elevate her family from poverty to a wealthy family. As the light of the family, she never forgot her family. She made sure that she sent her parents money every month for feeding and for other basic things for her younger ones. And whenever she returns home, it was like a king has arrived. The whole family would be so happy, and they would even celebrate her return back home because she was really making them proud and constantly providing their needs. From her salary, she was able to also put some of her younger ones in school and make sure that they were content. Then many years later, Ronke's parents got a call from a stranger that introduced himself as Ronke's suitor and wanted to marry their daughter. Her parents were so excited, and soon after that, they fixed a date. All the king's men were invited for the introduction between Ronke and her supposed suitor. And on the proposed day, nobody showed up for the introduction. Ronke's phone line was unable to reach, neither was her suitor's too. Her parents became so worried, but they decided to wait to know if any of them would at least call them. But nobody did. Now, back in Lagos, things weren't going exactly well for Ronke. She was in a very, very big mess. By this time, Ronke had lost her job shortly before her introduction, but she couldn't tell her parents about it. Instead, she decided to sort things out by herself. Now, here's a backstory of what happened to Ronke, her job and everything in between, while her parents were in the village preparing for her introduction. Ronke was very beautiful, had a great job, a great life, and a man in her life, or let's call him a sweet man. Ronke had been dating Wale for 8 years now. Their relationship was not without faults. Ronke loved Wale so much that even when she caught him cheating on her several times, she would always forgive him, because Wale would always come back begging her, buying her gifts, and taking her out for shopping, and she would always forgive him. And Wale took advantage of her goodness and love, and he kept on messing around for these 8 years, although he actually loved her, but he never respected her. Wale was a successful businessman who was in his late 30s, but was not ready to settle down in marriage yet. Meanwhile, Ronke was not getting any younger, and Wale was not saying anything about getting married to her. Instead, he kept on breaking her heart. So this got her worried a couple of times, but she decided to have patience for him, hoping that he would change. Her patience lingered till 10 years, and still he said nothing. Now, Ronke was 32 years old, while Wale was now 41 years old. So one day, Ronke met a guy called Chike, and they had a solid connection between themselves. Chike was the son of a politician who recently came back to Nigeria from France for business. So he was a very, very big fish, if you know what I mean. So Ronke, being a sharp girl, didn't want to lose this new guy. One beautiful evening, when she and Chike went out for dinner in a luxury restaurant in the highbrow part of Lagos, during their conversation that evening, Chike mustered the courage to ask her out, as he was very, very interested in her. Immediately, without thinking for a second, Ronke said yes to him, and they were very happy. As soon as Ronke got home, she started feeling guilty because she knew that she was still in a relationship with Wale. She shared things with her friend, who advised her to go ahead with Chike if he was ready. So she accepted and started dating the two guys without any of them noticing. Wale was still cheating on Ronke, and as usual, whenever he's caught, he would apologize to her, buy her gifts, and take her for shopping, as he always does, just for her to forget everything that he's doing. Ronke and Chike continued their relationship for 6 months. Everything was going very smoothly, and one day, Ronke thought that it was time to give up on her relationship with Wale and call it quits, but she never had the courage to do so. Then, on the 8th month of the relationship with Chike, he asked her to marry him. Ronke, will you marry me? She said, yes, I will marry you, Chike. Because this was the first time Aderonke was hearing such question in all her years in a relationship. So Chike was super ready to start wedding preparations so that he would finally have Ronke all to himself and probably go back to France with her, where they would start their new family together. So Chike, being Ronke's tutor that called Ronke's parents, he introduced himself to them and they were so happy and looked forward to meeting him in person on the day of introduction, which probably never happened. But let's continue to know what happened. Chike and Ronke were planning a grand wedding filled with dignitaries, with men and women of substance and caliber, if you know what I mean. So Ronke was enjoying her life so well because Chike was so sweet. In fact, sweeter than Wale, and he was more caring and respected her so much. 2 months to their introduction, Ronke summoned the courage to go tell Wale that she was ready to end everything and should be getting married very soon. Wale didn't take it so well because he felt that Ronke was the only lady that could take his misbehaviors, even though he loved her. He tried to promise her marriage in 3 years' time, but she was shocked and her mind was already made up to move on, and she said no. Now Wale saw that he could not change her mind towards marrying her new lover. Then he wanted to make sure that Ronke lost everything she had, even the man, and her life is going to be full of hell. Then Wale started having sleepless nights. He was plotting on how he'd get back at Ronke for breaking his heart. So he decided to keep record of all their pictures together, both the erotic pictures, voice messages, and everything that they had on camera that weren't so good. Then he reached out to Ronke 1 month later and started blackmailing her that he would release all their pictures together and find a way to get them across to her husband-to-be, and threatened to tell Chike that she was a prostitute using him for his money. So seeing that she didn't tell Chike about Wale earlier, she was now scared and begged Wale not to send the pictures to Chike. Then he demanded a sum of 3 million naira from her. She begged and begged and begged, but he refused. So, out of fear, she sent the money to him, just for him to close his mouth. Wale started enjoying his new wealth. He started blackmailing her more and more. He made it very consistent. Then, after she gave him the 3 million naira, few days later, he called her again and asked for another huge sum of money from her. Out of fear again, she sent to him. But by the 5th time, Ronke was already running out of cash and she couldn't tell Chike about Wale and the blackmail. Then, when Wale called and asked her to send him 20 million naira, this time around, Ronke was so broke and couldn't send him anything as usual. She begged him that she was very broke and she didn't have any other money again stored up somewhere, and he didn't believe her. In fact, Wale didn't care. Then he got so angry and sent everything he had about Ronke and him to Chike, whom he mysteriously found on the internet. By then, Ronke's world shattered into pieces as Chike called her and even refused to hear from her own side of the story. He decided to give her space and probably end things with her. So out of frustration, she had to quit her job because everything was beginning to affect her productivity. Now, she was so broke, devastated, sad, and even depressed. She would cry every single day, hoping that it was all a dream. Wale was so happy at the turn of events. He was so happy that he cashed out from Ronke and also put her into misery. But that actually didn't last for long. So all these things were what happened that made Ronke's introduction a very big disaster. So a few days later, Ronke was able to snap out of shame and called her parents, explaining everything that happened between Wale and Chike. Then they decided to give Chike a call to beg on their daughter's behalf and to also explain things to him. Fortunately for them, Chike was from a very respectable home and he gave listening ears to Ronke's parents as they explained everything to him. Then they urged him to call Ronke and have a talk with her. If after the talk he still stands his ground on not getting married to her, then they would respect his decision. So out of respect, Chike called Ronke a few weeks later and they met in their usual restaurant. Ronke cried and cried while explaining everything to Chike and told him that she didn't want to tell him about Wale because she thought she could handle him and not allow him get in their way. She has to explain all the pictures that Wale sent to him were pictures that they had in the past before she even met Chike. So after all the crying and begging from Ronke, Chike, out of love for her, decided to forgive her and made her promise to always open up to him no matter how bad it may seem. So after that day, Chike decided to arrest Wale for blackmailing Ronke and taking all the money that she had. Wale was finally arrested and made sure that he paid back double of everything he took from Ronke. So he was in prison for 14 years. Ronke was so happy that she finally got justice for everything that Wale made her go through. Then 1 month later, Chike and Ronke had their introduction in her village and it was very, very grand. The whole villagers could not stop talking about the wedding even up to today. Ronke was so happy that she finally married an Odogu. If you know what I mean, she married a real Odogu. And Wale had to pay for all his crimes and wickedness towards Ronke. So, we've come to the end of this story. So, tell me your thoughts in the comments. Did Ronke really break Wale's heart? Did she make the right decision in choosing Chike over Wale, even though she has been with Wale for 10 long years? Did she do the wrong thing by double dating, or did she handle things wrongly? What would she have done differently in order not to get into the issues she'd had with Chike? Then lastly, did Wale get what he deserved? So please tell me your thoughts in the comments and let's have a conversation. If you enjoyed this story and you want to enjoy some more, kindly subscribe, like, share, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. See you in another video. Bye.